After being reborn, the first thing my cousin and I did was to change the person we were going to marry. In the previous life, my cousin and I married at the same time. With her gentle and quiet personality, she married the aloof naval commander Samuel, just because Samuel missed their wedding anniversary to celebrate another woman's birthday. My cousin wanted an explanation from Samuel, but Samuel claimed he had a clear conscience, leading to a 50-year Cold War between them. As for me, with my hot-tempered personality that prefers action over words, I married an accountant from the machinery factory compound. The accountant whinging always complains about my loud voice and lack of fashion sense. He and I have minor arguments every 3 days and major ones every 5 days, eventually leading to him not coming home. We divorced less than a year after getting married. When I opened my eyes again, my cousin and I returned to the day we both got married. Chapter 1. You troublesome girl. Get down here right now. Instead of marrying a perfectly good company accountant, you want to go to that godforsaken island. How did I end up with such a troublesome child? Watching my mother chase the train while scolding me with a look of disappointment, I couldn't help but feel a bit bitter inside. But thinking about the outcomes for my cousin and me in our past lives, I told myself that my decision was not wrong. Bird Island is desolate. Samuel is not easy to get along with either. But so what? If it works out, great. If not, we can just part ways. I am a strong, independent woman. Do I really need a man to survive? But my cousin couldn't do it. In her past life, after marrying Samuel, they spent their lives misunderstanding each other because of someone who came between them. Even the gentlest person was worn down by Samuel. So, upon being reborn this time and seeing my cousin with a furrowed brow and a worried face, I decisively started packing my bags. Sister, Samuel, I will marry him. Although Gabriel seems not very useful, he has a good temper. You two should be able to get along. Hearing this, the cousin stood up with a face full of joy. But then she bit her lip and firmly said, Samuel is not easy to get along with. Not to mention that girl who grew up with him. I can't let you bear my misfortune. Sister, since it's an unavoidable arranged marriage, it doesn't matter who marries him. Grandpa didn't specify which granddaughter should marry him back then. Besides, Samuel isn't easy to get along with. So how is your sister any worse? When I arrive at Bird Island, if I can live well, I will. If not, I'll fight. I'll settle scores and seek revenge, regardless of the consequences. Being happy is the most important thing. Saying this, I performed a set of martial arts on the spot. Seeing my playful antics, my cousin broke into a smile and tapped my forehead. You, unlike my cousin's gentle nature, I have been practicing martial arts since childhood and am used to taking action rather than wasting words. Therefore, Gabriel, who prides himself on being a scholar, and I always find it hard to communicate. I dislike his constant quoting of books, and he dislikes my lack of feminine qualities. Life wasn't much better for my cousin and her partner. Within less than a year, they went their separate ways. So this time coming back, it might be better to let my cousin marry him. No matter how bad it gets, Gabriel is at least close to home. With family around, it's better than in the past life when my cousin was all alone on Bird Island, suffering grievances with no one to confide in, eventually falling into depression. As I thought about it, I kept holding my cousin's hand and acting spoiled, until she finally nodded helplessly. All right, I'll switch with you. So, I took my luggage and boarded the train to Bird Island. I just didn't expect my mother to arrive so quickly. I clearly left a letter, explaining everything clearly and plainly. What is there for her to worry about? I'm going to Bird Island to get married. If things don't work out, I'll come back on my own. I shouted to my mother who was chasing the train. Just like that. Eating and sleeping, the train ride of 3 days and 2 nights quickly reached Nan Province. I quickly grabbed my things and squeezed onto the boat heading to Bird Island again. I thought it would be another peaceful journey of sleeping, but I didn't expect to experience seasickness. After a boat trip, I was already ashen-faced, and my body emitted a strange odor. Sitting at the military post waiting for Samuel to come out and pick me up, I couldn't help but think about how I had just vomited until I was dizzy and nauseous. I felt a bit relieved, thankful that it was me getting married this time. How could my delicate cousin endure such hardship? Samuel, brother, Why does this house have a strange smell? I feel so uncomfortable. As I was lost in thought, a sweet and cloying voice sounded in front of me, and I looked up. Chapter 2. A girl with braided hair, looking as delicate as a willow, was currently covering her nose and complaining to the man beside her. Glancing at the tall, upright, and serious-looking man standing next to her, I rolled my eyes. Samuel, right? I am your fiancée Laura. Check the marriage certificate, and if there are no issues, find a place for me to rest quickly. Saying this, I tossed my luggage towards him, ignored the woman's aggrieved expression, stood up, and walked out. Samuel, does sister-in-law not like me? Behind me, Maria said with a grievance, already exhausted from the journey and feeling dizzy. An inexplicable anger surged within me. What do you mean like or not like? Do we even know each other? Samuel, are you a man or not? Can you do things a bit more efficiently? After speaking, without looking at their expressions, I walked out with a dark face. After a few steps, I felt someone following behind. A sideways glance revealed it was Samuel, carrying luggage with an unreadable expression on his face. There was absolutely no intention to explain what just happened. No wonder in her past life, my cousin lived a life full of grievances, with a little white lotus and a tight-lipped person. And my cousin being someone with high standards, she was bound to suffer when tangled with them. Unfortunately, I'm not someone with such a good temper. If I'm happy, life can go on. But if I'm unhappy, I have to make sure you all feel uncomfortable too. Since the arranged marriage was indeed true, Samuel had already received a call from the hometown and knew I would come, so he submitted the marriage report early. Thus, within a couple of days, our wedding was organized with the help of the military wives' encouragement. Samuel's parents passed away early, and my family is even more distant, so those attending the wedding are all military comrades and the wives of comrades. Fortunately, the atmosphere is still very lively, with a bustling scene in the family compound. I really envy Laura because she can marry Samuel because of their arranged marriage. She's so lucky, unlike me. After saying this, she lowered her head and sobbed quietly. And originally, the courtyard that was bustling with the wedding procession instantly was left with only the sound of sobbing, leaving the guests who came for the feast looking at each other in dismay. Watching Maria cover her face, her trembling back, I curled my lips, took 2 steps forward, and stood on tiptoe to wrap my arms around Samuel's head. With a smack, I kissed him. Then, smugly raising an eyebrow at Maria, I said, "Yes, aren't I lucky? Your Samuel has a career, looks, and a physique. Only someone as fortunate as me could marry him. Otherwise, I'm afraid someone with less luck wouldn't be able to handle it." After saying that, I tightly hugged Samuel's waist and gave him a hard pinch. Then, with a threatening smile on her face, she said, "You agree, don't you, Samuel?" The man's expression didn't change, but his ears inexplicably turned red. Before Samuel could speak, Maria looked at him pitifully, her eyes still red. "Samuel, Laura, don't misunderstand. I sincerely came to bless you both. If Laura doesn't like me, I won't attend the wedding today." But, as she spoke, 2 lines of tears rolled down Maria's face. "Samuel, remember to pick me up tomorrow. We've spent this day together for so many years." Samuel nodded. "Tomorrow, I will prepare everything to pick you up. Don't worry." Hearing this, the hand I originally had around Samuel's waist shifted, and I directly gave him an over-the-shoulder throw. Chapter 3. The courtyard was silent, and everyone looked at me in disbelief. Are you kidding me? They gave me a hard time at the wedding, and then there's this ridiculous anniversary. In the past life, the 2 of them sweetly celebrated it, but when they came back, they didn't give my sister any explanation. Because of this, they lived a lifetime of mutual respect as ice. I'm not my sister. She could endure it, but I can't tolerate it at all. Aren't we going to celebrate the anniversary? If he dares to go, I'll dare to fight him, then pack my bags and swiftly leave this desolate island. Do they really think our family's girls are desperate to get married? If it weren't for the elders insisting on keeping promises, I wouldn't know how comfortable my life could be. Samuel, does it hurt? Laura, How can you do this? Samuel is a grown man. And you just. Maria's fair little face was flushed with anger at this moment, and her gaze at Samuel was full of concern. However, Samuel quickly stood up straight, gave me a meaningful look, then coughed twice into his fist. I'm fine. Then, as if nothing had happened, he came over and held my hand. Tomorrow, you will come with me. Hearing this, I looked at Samuel in surprise. Maria was even more incredulous. Samuel, how can you do this? I will never speak to you again. After saying that, she covered her face and ran out crying. At this moment, a warm voice came to my ear. First, complete the wedding, and I'll explain to you later. Be good, with no one to interfere, and me not in the mood. The guests didn't dare to make a fuss, so the wedding proceeded quickly. Before long, I sat in the bridal chamber and gave the bed a hard pat. Samuel, what do you mean? Were you just trying to use that beauty trap? Don't think this works on me. A click sound. Seeing Samuel push the door open and come in, I quickly put on a stern face and snorted. Let me tell you, I despise men who can't make up their minds. If you want a good sister today and a lover tomorrow, then let's break it off early and not waste my time going back home to get married. Listening to my words, Samuel frowned. You were arranged for me by my grandfather, and if I marry you, I will take responsibility for you. Hearing this, I immediately spat in disdain. Samuel, what era do you think this is? Let me tell you, if we can make it work, we will. If not, we'll divorce. After all, when they arranged this marriage, they never said that marrying you meant I'd be yours for life. Samuel seemed to be infuriated by me, pacing back and forth in the room. Then he sighed, sat on the edge of the bed, and tried to hold my hand. Laura, there was never anything between Maria and me before, and there never will be. I sincerely want to live a good life with you, he said, ignoring my struggle and tightly grabbing my hand. I'm not good with words. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, just say it directly. I'll change whatever I can. Under the light of the wedding room, the man looked serious. Seeing him like this, my face inexplicably felt warm. I nodded, pretending to be indifferent, and said, all right. My temper isn't that great either. As long as you can accept it, it's fine. After speaking, I couldn't help but feel a bit annoyed at the hint of amusement in Samuel's eyes. I leaned forward directly, wrapped my arms around his neck, and kissed him. Soon, the breathing of both became more rapid. Samuel truly lived up to being a king of soldiers. In no time, he took the lead, placing his hand on my buttons, staring at me intently with a hoarse voice. He asked, is it okay, my wife? I pinched him in embarrassment and annoyance. What was there to ask at this moment? Seeing my flushed face, Samuel chuckled softly and buried his face in my neck. It was my fault. Feeling the warmth on my neck, I slowly closed my eyes. Samuel, something's wrong. Maria left a letter and she's gone. Outside the door, there was a loud knocking sound. Samuel stiffened all over and quickly stood up straight. Daughter-in-law, you go to sleep first. I'll go out for a while. Hearing this, I glared angrily at Samuel. With so many people in the military, does it have to be you who goes? Do you know today is our wedding night? Chapter 4. Samuel put on his clothes and walked up to me, ready to help me dress. Let's go together, daughter-in-law. The Sioux family elders saved my life. I can't just ignore their only daughter. So will you come with me? When we return, you can scold or hit me as you wish. Hearing this, I was stunned for a moment, then pushed him away and dressed myself. Let's go. Without looking at Samuel, I left the house with a cold expression. After taking a few steps, I felt a warmth on my hand. I shook it a couple of times but couldn't shake it off, and I glared at Samuel annoyedly. Daughter-in-law, walk slower. It's dark at night. Ignoring my anger, Samuel held my hand firmly, and in a few steps, we reached the Sioux family. Since the elders of the Sioux family passed away early, the military took good care of Maria, the orphan, allowing her to live alone in a large courtyard. At this moment, the place was crowded with people. The first to discover Maria missing was Aunt Lee, who anxiously brought the letter over. Brother Samuel, I don't want to be a burden to everyone. I'm going to be with Mom and Dad. Looking at the short line of words in his hand, Samuel frowned deeply and quickly instructed everyone to spread out and search for her. Soon, the island echoed with loud calls of Maria, with especially many people along the coastline, afraid that something might have really happened. I also searched around the unfamiliar island. However, thinking there were so many people along the coast, I began to search every nook and cranny elsewhere. Unexpectedly, there was an unexpected gain. Why is it you who came? Where is Brother Samuel? Hearing my footsteps, Maria turned around in surprise, but her face instantly fell when she saw who it was. Seeing her standing on the rock with a resentful look, I sneered. Why? Is a man who doesn't care about you at all worth risking your life for? Upon hearing this, Maria's face turned red and then white. She bit her lip and said, "What do you know? Brother Samuel and I grew up together, and my family even saved his life. If you hadn't interfered, his wife would have been me." Hearing this, I sneered coldly. Would someone who truly cares about you give me the chance to interfere? Besides, our engagement was arranged when we were still in the womb. If we're talking about who came first, it certainly wouldn't be you. So, there was nothing to do with you before, and there will be even less in the future. Samuel will only be my man. However, if this man has any thoughts, I don't mind breaking his legs and giving him to you, so you can be a pair of wild mandarin ducks. I just wonder if you can handle it. After saying that, I prepared to leave. Having found her, it seems she didn't really want to die. It was just a little girl's drama of crying and making a fuss, and I couldn't be bothered to deal with her. Unexpectedly, Maria grabbed me and whispered in my ear, "Tell me, if we both fell into the sea at the same time, would Samuel rescue you or me?" After saying that, before I could react, I felt a strong force pulling me into the sea. Caught off guard, I swallowed several mouthfuls of salty and bitter seawater. Help! Samuel, please save me. Chapter 5. Amidst the rise and fall, I saw Samuel rushing over and Maria pretending to be panicked. A surge of anger rose in my chest. Men who attract trouble are really annoying. Then turned around and swam vigorously towards Maria. What do you mean by choosing one of two? Do I look like someone who waits for a man to save her? Not only do I not need it, but you shouldn't even think about it. As if she didn't expect me to swim, Maria looked incredulous, and when I reached her, she struggled desperately. She kept shouting, "Samuel, save Maria!" Seeing her struggling like a pig being held down, and with Samuel ready to jump in, I knocked her out with a karate chop and unceremoniously dragged her towards the shore. Fortunately, it had just fallen, and it wasn't far from the shore, so it only took a few strokes to reach it. Samuel wanted to come over to help, but I rudely shouted at him, "Get lost! Today you touch her once, tomorrow you can propose marriage to her." After saying that, I collapsed on the ground, panting heavily, watching a group of people surround Maria. Samuel looked at Maria lying on the ground with a dark expression, then took off his coat and draped it over me. "Wife, let's go home." As soon as these words were spoken, the Maria who had just been resuscitated by the medic immediately sat up and shouted, "Samuel, don't go!" Under the suspicious gazes of the crowd, Maria pursed her lips, her eyes brimming with tears. "Samuel, brother, Lara pushed me into the sea. Are you going to help a murderer?" As soon as these words were spoken, the whole place was in an uproar. Some impulsive people rushed up to me, pointing at my nose and scolding, "Well, I thought you were straightforward, but it turns out you're heartless. What did our Maria ever do to provoke you, for you to act so maliciously? Isn't that right? Girls from out of town just don't measure up." The accusations around me were incessant. I clenched my fists, looking at this group of people in front of me, and there was a hint of smugness in Maria's eyes. Anger made me lose my reason, and all I could think about was going up to give Maria a couple of hits. But I was pulled back by Samuel. Seeing his dark expression, I became even more furious. Who would really want to come to this lousy island? Can't eat well, can't sleep well, and now I'm being wronged. Even this man doesn't believe me. Thinking about it makes me inexplicably uncomfortable. As expected, he still chooses to believe his childhood sweetheart. Fine. I'll beat everyone up. And then I'll go get a divorce. Laura wouldn't do such a thing. I trust her. Also, Maria, did you forget you were the swimming champion last year? As soon as these words were spoken, Maria's face turned pale. Yeah, Maria, aren't you a swimmer? Why did you need someone to save you just now? Seeing the suspicious looks from everyone, Maria was truly anxious now. Tears streaming down her face. I suddenly fell into the sea and was so frightened that my leg cramped. If Laura hadn't pulled me just now, I wouldn't have been so scared. Watching her stubbornly insist that I pushed her, the anger in my heart could no longer be contained. I forcefully shook off Samuel and went up to Maria, delivering 2 hard slaps to her face. In an instant, Maria's face visibly swelled up. You actually hit me. What gives you the right to hit me? The pain on her face made Maria lose her senses, and she came at me trying to scratch me, but I kicked her directly to the ground. Dusting off my hands, I looked at Maria sitting on the ground holding her face, and sneered. I hit you. So what? Do I need to schedule it? Chapter 6. Brother Samuel, you promised my parents you would take care of me, and now you're just watching your wife bully me? If you hadn't come quickly, I would have lost my life today. Maria looked at Samuel with red eyes and a face full of grievance. Everyone else looked at me with disapproving eyes. What you said makes sense. Samuel glanced at Maria and then nodded. Seeing him like this, I secretly cursed myself for being blind enough to marry such a thing. Just as I was about to make a scene, he stepped forward and tightly grasped my hand, with a strength that I couldn't break free from. Then let the investigation find out. I believe it won't be difficult to determine the scene based on the traces left. If it was Laura who did it, I definitely won't cover it up. But if my daughter-in-law is being wronged, I won't just stand by. As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd nodded continuously, and some even turned around to call the investigator over. Maria stood in the middle, her face pale and her body trembling. People just thought she was cold from soaking in the seawater, and they all took off their coats to wrap her tightly in the middle. Sniffling, I hung my head and pondered to myself, why hasn't anyone come yet? Hurry up and say it was me, so I can divorce this man and go home to eat my mother's braised pork. Whoever loves this lousy place can stay here. Whoever wants a flirtatious man can have him. Wife, I believe in you. Just endure a little longer. Once your name is cleared, we'll go home, and you can scold or hit me as you wish. Feeling the warmth by my ear, I couldn't help but pause and looked up at Samuel. The man's eyes were filled with guilt, and his expression was unusually cautious. Soon, the investigation came, but things did not go as I expected. With our own people helping each other, after the investigation concluded that Maria had jumped by herself, the sisters-in-law in the courtyard awkwardly came over to apologize to me. There were kind-hearted people who, seeing Maria sitting on the ground with her head down and saying nothing, even helped to explain for her, asking me to be more tolerant of her, as she lost her parents at a young age and it's not easy for her. Everyone asks for tolerance for her, but who will tolerate my daughter-in-law? She, a young girl, came all the way to our island, only to be framed. Who should she turn to for justice? Maria, listen carefully. Your life is your own. Uncle He and his wife are heroes, and their daughter should live with dignity. I will no longer interfere in your affairs. Take care of yourself. As he spoke, regardless of the expressions of the crowd, Maria's angry shouts from behind were filled with resentment. Samuel took my hand and turned away directly. Back at the family compound, Samuel brought over freshly brewed ginger tea and then carefully sat down beside me. Daughter-in-law. Back then when we went on the mission, it was Uncle He who covered for us so we could retreat, and he stayed behind because of it. So over the years, we've always been more tolerant of Maria. After all, she's Uncle Sue's only bloodline. But we didn't expect that our indulgence seems to have led this child astray. As he spoke, Samuel sighed. The man who was just strong-willed now inexplicably seemed a bit lost. Why are you sighing? I'm telling you, from now on, I don't care about any Maria Lee Maria. whether she has done you a favor or holds a grudge against you. If you dare to get entangled with other women, I will break all 3 of your legs and send them to her. Seeing me with a stern face and raising my fist fiercely, Samuel burst into laughter and then held my fist. All right, whatever the wife says goes. The night is short. Let's not discuss these things and rest early. Saying this, he casually placed the empty bowl from my hand aside, and his burning hands tightly gripped my waist. Soon, my consciousness gradually blurred, and I fell into a state of oblivion. Chapter 7. In the days that followed, Maria did not appear in front of me. However, those sisters-in-law from before would occasionally bring their homegrown vegetables to my door, or invite me to go to the beach to collect seafood after the tide receded. The days passed by unhurriedly, and I seemed to gradually fall in love with island life. My relationship with Samuel also became increasingly stable. Even though everything seemed to be going well, I always felt like something was off, an inexplicable unease in my heart. Until that day, when I happily returned home with a bag of freshly picked oysters. I saw Samuel pacing anxiously at the gate, holding something in his hand, looking very worried. As soon as he saw me, he rushed over and held on to me. "Oh, you got so anxious after not seeing your wife for a while. Our Laura is really lucky." Seeing him not in his usual manner, I responded to their teasing with a few words and quickly pulled Samuel back into the house. Before I could speak, Samuel took out something from his hand and handed it to me. "Honey, did we forget to call home after we got married? This seems to be a letter sent by Mom and Dad." Hearing this, my hand slipped, and the oyster I had been longing for fell to the ground. But I didn't care anymore, because I know that my fate is probably worse than this oyster. With trembling hands, I opened the letter, and sure enough, even my cousin's elegant handwriting couldn't hide my mother's fury. Inexplicably switching partners with my sister. That's the first offense. Boldly running away to get married on my own. That's the second offense. Getting married and completely cutting off contact with my family. That's an unforgivable offense. Leaving no way out. Seeing Samuel's unpleasant expression at the end, I inexplicably felt relieved. Whatever. Let him deal with it if the sky falls. What do I know? I know nothing. I only know that life is very comfortable now. At the end of the letter, my sister also wrote that after she married Gabriel, their days have been full of joy. Not only that, but in the near future, I will welcome my own little nephew. You should know that in my past life, my cousin spent her entire life with Samuel, having no children, and I divorced early to venture into business, ending up lonely in my old age. In this life, I have finally taken a different path. Daughter-in-law, your sister already has a child. When are we going to have one? Samuel unknowingly came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and whispered softly in my ear, forcing myself to ignore the warmth by my ear. I casually said, "Shouldn't this be about you? If you were capable, I would have been pregnant by now." Hearing this, Samuel wasn't angry. Instead, he glanced at the oysters beside him and laughed in a low voice. "All right, tonight I'll make sure to catch up. Let's not talk about how that night went." But for a long time, I didn't dare bring oysters home anymore. Even if I picked them up by the sea, I would give them to other girls instead. After being teased for a while, Aunt Lee from next door suddenly changed the topic and said, "Hey, guess who I saw yesterday?" Seeing the puzzled looks from everyone, Aunt Lee spoke with satisfaction. "Last night, I went out to find my boy and happened to see Maria and Diego walking hand in hand in the coconut grove." Upon hearing this, Aunt Wong quickly shook her head. "Impossible. Diego already has a wife and kids. Maria wouldn't mess around with a married man, let alone someone old enough to be her father." Looking at the skeptical gazes of the crowd, Aunt Lee slapped her thigh defiantly and said, "Hey, I told you, but you didn't believe me. Just wait and see. I reckon from what I saw yesterday, those two won't hold out much longer." Chapter 8. The island isn't very large, especially not the part where the military is stationed. The two of them probably didn't even think about avoiding people. And soon, some rumors started spreading on the island. It's just that neither Samuel nor I are the type to gossip. He's busy all day with military training and tasks. I also don't want to stay idle like this. After discussing with Samuel, We obtained the proposal for cooperation with the military. We are planning to set up a food processing plant on the island. The raw materials will be coconuts and various seafood from the island. This way, not only can it bring some revenue to the military, but it can also provide the local islanders with an additional income. Unexpectedly, we encountered a problem right at the start. Originally full of confidence and ready to make a big effort, I didn't expect a typhoon to come down and almost turn my hard work into ashes. Looking at the factory buildings blown into disarray by the wind, I rolled up my sleeves and prepared to clean up with the workers. Isn't it just an accident? After so many years of ups and downs in the business world, I've seen it all, and I've never lacked the courage to start over. Oh, isn't this Laura? What? Have you lost all your family fortune? While I was working enthusiastically, a sarcastic voice came from behind. I turned around, and sure enough, it was Maria. Unlike the last few times we met, the current Maria has changed from her previously simple appearance. She is wearing the most fashionable dress of the season, with little leather shoes on her feet, and her jewelry and watch are all perfectly matched. But right now, the typhoon has just ended, and the whole island is in a mess. Dressed like this, she must have suffered a lot on her way here. Under my scrutinizing gaze, Maria became even more smug. Do you know what a good life is? I was naive before, thinking that Samuel, that big-headed soldier, was reliable. Now I understand that a man needs power and money for a woman to live comfortably. As she spoke, she spun around in front of me. Otherwise, you'll end up like you, married and still busy with everything, unable to enjoy any blessings. Watching her smug expression, I sneered and pushed her to the ground. What? Did those 2 slaps last time not teach you a lesson? Or do my fists not look hard enough? It's your business if you want to rely on a man to live. But don't embarrass yourself in front of me. Even great people say women hold up half the sky. But only a useless parasite like you would think of clinging to others to survive. If I were you, having done something shameful, I'd be too embarrassed to show my face. Yet, you shamelessly come out to flaunt it. I think next time there's a typhoon, your thick skin would be great for blocking the wind. A barrage of blunt words made Maria's face turn pale and then red. How dare you bully me? I'll tell you, my family Diego won't let you get away with this. Don't even think about running this lousy factory. And Samuel should pack up and leave. Oh really? Today, I want to see how you plan to stop this factory from running. Before I could step in and give her a piece of my mind, a commanding voice sounded from behind. Commander. Maria quivered as she spoke. Turning around, it was Commander Jean, who at this moment had a stern expression as he addressed Maria on the ground. The 2 people beside him were surprisingly Samuel and Diego. Ignoring Maria's current disheveled appearance, Commander Jean sternly reprimanded. The factory on the island is for the military, for the people of our island. What right do you, Maria, have to prevent it from being established? And what is your relationship with Diego? A well-behaved young lady like you? As he spoke, he looked sternly at Diego. Commander, we have no relationship at all. I don't know why this girl is causing trouble under my name. Maria looked at Diego in disbelief as he mercilessly distanced himself from her. Lee, how can you be so heartless? I already belong to you, and you say we have nothing to do with each other. Chapter 9. As soon as these words were spoken, Diego broke into a cold sweat and hurriedly grabbed Maria's arm with a panicked expression. From my angle, I could clearly see the threat in Diego's eyes. Young lady, you can eat recklessly, but you can't speak recklessly. You can't drag me into this just because you want to help Samuel. I have a wife and kids. If you get involved with me, what will happen to your reputation? As soon as these words were spoken, Maria's eyes shifted, and she looked tearfully at Commander Jean and Samuel. Samuel, I'm sorry. I did all this because I was jealous that Lara could marry you. Just now, it was because she angered me with all our beautiful memories that she pushed me to the ground. And I spoke without thinking. You know that you have always been the one in my heart. Please don't be angry. After saying this, she lowered her head and covered her face, looking very aggrieved. Hearing this, the onlookers looked at Samuel with reproach, and even Commander Jean's gaze shifted back and forth between the 2. Diego, seeing the situation reversed, in a good mood, prepared to help Maria up from the ground. That's right. I don't want to get involved in you young people's affairs. Saying this with a smile, he helped Maria up, but whether Maria's legs were weak or something else, she fell back to the ground again, and unfortunately, this time there was a big stone right there. A muffled groan was heard, and Maria's face instantly turned pale. Blood. There's blood, the girl exclaimed in surprise, and everyone's eyes followed her pointing finger. Maria was lying in a pool of bright red beneath her. Is this a miscarriage? In the silent outdoors, a girl's murmur reached everyone's ears present. Upon hearing this, Maria was instantly flustered, grabbing Diego's arm and tearfully asking, Diego, save our child. Save me. Hearing this, Diego's face turned ashen. He knew that now, no matter what he said, no one would believe him. His relationship with Maria was already a foregone conclusion. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take her to the clinic. Jean Commander shouted angrily. Diego gritted his teeth and ran to the clinic holding the still crying Maria. Later, it was heard that the child was ultimately not saved. Maria caused a scene at the clinic, and Diego, who was originally going to be disciplined for his relationship issues, unexpectedly did not register his marriage with his wife back home, thus allowing them to exploit a loophole and become the couple with the largest age gap on the island. Although the law could not punish them, Diego was still affected by this incident. Not only did he lose his promotion, but he was also transferred to an unpopular department. If nothing unexpected happens, he will likely have to retire and return home in a few years. Moreover, although the original spouse didn't get a marriage certificate, they had quite a few children. Diego's 3 children from his hometown heard that their father remarried, stopped attending school, and came to the military with their luggage. Since then, the Lee family has been living a chaotic life, and whenever the sisters-in-law gossip about family matters, they never fail to mention the excitement in their household. However, none of this has anything to do with us, because now that the factory is built and everything is on track, Samuel and I finally have time to return to our hometown to apologize. This time, the trip home was unexpectedly smooth, and we slept comfortably all the way back. Stood at the doorstep for quite a while. Samuel finally couldn't hold back, smiled, took my hand, and said, Don't worry. I'll stand in front of you whether they want to hit or scold us later. Can we stop shivering at the door? After a few deep breaths, I finally mustered the courage to step into the house. Chapter 10. Before I could put on a smile, a stern voice came from the main room. Kneel down. I pouted, thinking that what was meant to come had finally come, and prepared to kneel on the ground. Samuel knelt down in front of me, looking sincerely at my parents and grandfather sitting in the main room. It's my fault for not coming back earlier to explain and apologize to you all. I have no objections to any punishment, but Laura is weak, so I'll take her share as well. After speaking, without waiting for a response, he knocked his head on the ground 3 times with a bang. Grandfather still had a stern face, showing no expression, but my mother was smiling so much that her face was full of wrinkles. If it weren't for the fact that grandfather was sitting nearby, she would have probably already come over to help her son-in-law take a seat. Grandfather, don't be angry. Don't be angry. My little niece is here. Give me some face. Besides, look at how happy my cousin and I are now. After speaking, without waiting for the old man's reaction, he quickly went to the door and took the little niece from my cousin's arms. I accidentally used a bit too much force, causing my sister to stumble. Before I could reach out, Gabriel tossed aside what he was holding and quickly reached out to catch my sister. You're an adult now, yet still so clumsy. You and your sister are really nothing alike. Women should be gentle and graceful, Gabriel said earnestly. My cousin reassuringly patted Gabriel's hand, unable to hold back. I rolled my eyes and gritted my teeth, saying, Got it, brother-in-law. Laura has a great personality. I just love how lively she is. I don't know when. Samuel came up behind me, joking with Gabriel. All right. Are you guys standing at the door like door gods? Hurry up and take your seats for dinner. Hearing the old man speak, my cousin and I exchanged a smile. Sure enough, a sharp tongue but a soft heart. We passed smoothly. At the dining table, Gabriel, holding the child with his left hand, kept serving dishes to his sister with his right hand. This is what you love to eat. Have some more. Auntie's cooking is really good. Next time I have a break, I must come and learn a few tricks from her. It's rare to see you with such a good appetite. Watching Gabriel care for my cousin while muttering incessantly, I couldn't help but widen my eyes. Is this still the man who believed that a gentleman stays away from the kitchen? In our past life, we argued a lot about this, but now he's volunteering to do it for my cousin? Honey, I've learned to cook all your favorite dishes, so could you please stop staring at others like that? Ahem, ahem. Hearing Samuel's words laced with jealousy, I awkwardly coughed twice. Indeed, my life is quite good now. It seems that this time the red thread of the old moon deity was not wrong. We have both met the right person. After dinner, seeing Gabriel sticking to my cousin, I couldn't help but drive him away. After some fuss, I finally got a little alone time with my cousin. Sis, do you want to go to Bird Island with me? As soon as I finished speaking, my sister widened her eyes in confusion. You see, we all know the commune is going to be gone soon, and I guess brother-in-law will be laid off too. Just as well, I've set up a factory over there, and it's doing quite well. I need someone I trust to help out. The most important thing is, in your past life, you were so terribly harmed by that Maria. This time, don't you want to see with your own eyes the miserable life she's living? I don't know which words persuaded my cousin, nor do I know how she convinced Gabriel. Anyway, on the way back, I happily linked arms with my cousin, walking cheerfully in front, leaving those two annoying men behind to carry the child and the luggage. The good mood that lasted throughout the journey reached its peak when we passed by the Lee family. My dad said, "You're here to serve us. Whatever we tell you to do, you have to do it. If you don't listen, just give the disobedient woman a couple of beatings." At this moment, Maria was being jostled by 3 half-grown boys, completely devoid of her previous pride. She looked so frail that it seemed a gust of wind could knock her over. Her body was covered in bruises, and her face was a mask of numbness, like a puppet without any expression. Irwa, you shouldn't say that. You are all family now, and you need to get along harmoniously. That's right. Old man, are you just going to watch the kids bully Maria like this? After all, she is the newlywed daughter-in-law. After all, I watched these children grow up in the courtyard, and seeing them end up like this, I couldn't help but say a few words in her defense. Diego just sat on the side, puffing on his cigarette, his face gloomy and completely silent, only watching as his new daughter-in-law was pushed to the ground and scolded by his sons. Pa, what family? She's just a homewrecker, and letting her stay out of the cowshed is already a favor. I don't know what kind of parents could give birth to a wretch like you. The upper beam is not straight, and the lower beam is crooked. The whole family is worthless. Perhaps one of the remarks touched Maria's reverse scale. Before anyone could react, they saw Maria quickly get up and pin the child who had just spoken to the ground, pounding him fiercely. Although she looked extremely frail, her ferocious expression was like a demon from hell, sending chills down one's spine. The scene eventually descended into chaos. Diego watched his son being beaten and mercilessly went after Maria. The people around couldn't bear to see Maria being hit, so some were fighting and some were trying to break it up, making the whole courtyard extremely lively. Later, it was heard that due to the extremely negative impact, Diego was directly discharged from the military without even a chance for a transfer job. He returned to his hometown with his sons to join his original wife in farming. As for Maria, she took this opportunity to divorce Diego and disappeared from the island. From then on, there was no trace of her on the island where she was born and raised. No one knows where she went, nor does anyone know how her life is going. However, my cousin and I don't want to care about these things anymore. The factory's business is really good, and we're so busy every day that we don't have time to worry about those unimportant people and things. Because I've been working overtime for several consecutive days and just fall asleep as soon as I get home. Samuel finally couldn't hold back his emotions. I still have to think about how to appease him later. Sigh.